Welcome back to another Q&A and rant on consciousness. As always, I like to begin with my general philosophy and some ramblings about the universe and its functionality. So the initial creationary principle of our universe is the fact that we cannot be aware of the lack of awareness. Nothingness can't exist. It is simply nothingness. And every word that we use, every concept that we entrain into, it's really pointing to something that is. What's up, user? Welcome to the Q&A, guys, / conscious rant. Again, we like to open with some ramblings and a basic overview of my philosophy here that I use. So essentially, we are everything. We are the fabric of reality. We can look at ourselves and know that, whether scientifically or subjectively. In fact, our life functions a certain way. That's a science. It's a series of observable phenomena that we can make connections about and leverage that information to do greater things. I mean, it just makes sense. So again, feel free to drop your questions or let me know where you're at in your spiritual journey. If any of this makes sense, what you want to know, what you're doing in the world, because the power, like being smart or intelligent, it's really a habit. It's a habit and something that we build inside of ourselves. The habit of remembering to think about something a certain way that is advantageous, right? We get more information out of it, and that's where we find virtue. We can actually find philosophy, poetry, and science in anything that we observe about the nature of our life. So we just repeat what works, and it plays into virtue because you have to be patient. Patience is a virtue because in every single situation, there's the passage of time, right? There's the frustration in that, and that's where compassion comes. We have to be compassionate towards the difficult emotion that is literally required for our organism to molt and evolve. For it to get better, we have to acknowledge and heal pain. And if we identify with that, we're essentially identifying with outdated information that's no longer relevant for the way that we want to lead our lives. And that's what the truth really does, is it has implications on what we're doing to ourselves and so on. What's up, Dot? What's up, Brendan? What's up, Doogie? How's it going, man? I'm glad it helps, Jer. That's what I'm here for. So thank you for that. With your understanding, what is God? Well, God isn't just one thing. It's everything and nothing at the same time. So the initial creationary paradox of existence, which therefore includes God, is the fact that we can't be aware of nothingness. So we shouldn't be afraid of death if we think this out to its fullest, right? So if we fully acknowledge that we cannot be aware of nothingness, then what happens when the body falls away? Well, it becomes clear that it's not the end propagation of the Big Bang, a solo event that will eventually end, a non-finite universe, which is assumed in classical science. So either we're finite or we're infinite. Infinity implies that everything is possible, our lives are inevitable, we are it, whatever it is, the unifying essence of awareness and intelligence that is it's nature, it's the universe, it's energy, it's light, and acknowledging that we are chemicals and electrical signals does not denote a metaphysical reality. In fact, it allows us to make it tangible, make that metaphysical reality something, the created. Since we are the created, then we're dwelling in a realm that's post-essential. So we are more in an essence than we are the created. So you're God, I'm God. What is God? It doesn't matter. It's also ambiguous. So What do we pray to? Well, I think we pray more to the forces that be than we do any one God. So, you know, disembodied beings of light. So if we begin to consider disembodied beings of light, then it immediately has implications on our physicality and our every waking moment of life. You know, if we are to accept this reality or acknowledge it or begin on the path to witnessing it, it has implications on every single one of our behaviors. I guess a main one would be they're always watching, they're always there, they're always loving and always understanding and without time, so we can access them whenever. They're an essence and infinitely more intelligent than the narrative that we've created about our world, ourselves, and so on. So they know each one of our mistakes, each one of our lines of destiny, you know, intimately bound to the things that we like and are capable within, our affinities within the created. You know, it's the acknowledgement that we are magnanimously beautiful in our mortality, in our limited nature, and in, you know, especially in our potential. And we draw from this every single day. It's the most powerful force that we can possibly imagine because it is imagination itself. It's the essential quality, the essential quality to our reality. What's up, Mayans? Should limit THC consumption. Do I ever go wild on the Zaza? Of course. So in my book, Spiritual Cannabis, I mention, you know, everything to do with dosage, and I mentioned that sort of the minimum medically advisable dose due to, you know, the variance in strains, the variance in, you know, THC quantity, in each of our chemical makeup, and so yeah, definitely do larger doses. I get more out of that. It's really about managing the deleterious effects. So beginning to notice lack of motivation or, you know, mood swings or any of these things, because it's serious stuff when you're messing with your chemistry, and you have to really understand what you're doing. So it's not advisable in a recreational sense, although you can enjoy that whenever you like. It's really just an internal management system, like a subjective accumulation of an understanding through your intentional witnessing. Can we use physical exertion to enhance our spiritual practice, to further our development? Absolutely. You know, the tighter the body runs, right? The body is an expression of the brain, and our meridians, that's where the electricity fires. You know, the more cleanly our blood can flow, the better. We optimize that oxygen to the brain and the creation of this electricity. So you're picking up more information. You're creating more quickly. It's a mastery of your microscopy. It's where your psychological connotation is to anything that you do, and anything that you do is really another way of saying. And anything that I intend my organism to eventually manifest or do within this world, using electrical signals and the food that I've eaten to create the varying cells in my body and what I am or what I do. So it's almost the more objectively we analyze our subjectivity, the more we can release our identity from anything that happens. Again, which is where we find virtue. Virtuous qualities are qualities that sort of allow our life to move easier, obviously. But so patience, for example. Time is always going to pass. Emotions will be felt. Ups and downs will happen. Patience is our ability to essentially cope with that and not incur as much suffering and pain. Is there a prison planet? Is love? You know, our own karma is sort of like a prison. If we are to accept this reality, yes. Good to see you, One Way Nick. Yes. Jesus was ripped. Right? Think of Think of what he was doing every day. It wasn't, scrolling on the phone or sitting in an office. It was meditating in the jungle, trying to figure out the secrets to life. And what he found, if we're seeing Jesus as an archetype of what it would take for one to attain this love, and an emblematic force that we can look to, then we can consider that at this time he was engaging with Jewish mysticism, plant medicine, and meditating on love. So meditation in this case is not quieting your mind or repeating a mantra. Meditation in this case is literally sitting with the act of invoking love, invoking love unconditionally towards every part of your life. So you have to intentionally heal your pain. You have to invoke the humility, the virtue of humility. Humility is your ability to accept the fact of the matter and not connotate it to your identity in an overtly positive or negative way, but a homeostatic balance with what you're truly capable of. Capital T, true, the truth of who you are, what you need to accept and embody. So imagine meditating on this for, forever, from the time that you were 12 years old until you were 27. So let's consider the 14 years of Jesus practice, where all he was doing, instead of working a job, instead of making ends meet, he was just working on himself and his body and his mind. And he realized, like, his ultimate conclusion, his life's work was this love. If the dude existed, if the motherfucker was real. It's something that we can, use as a guiding light, right? These archetypal concepts, whether it's true or not, there's something to be found. In the mere consideration, we find luminous wisdom. I feel like I got off track from a more important question. Yeah. How did Jesus stay combative? Attaining Jesus level, the only way to ascend? No. Contact with any alien species? I'm going to say probably. I probably have on that one. So, if you're going to state an argument, then make a point. Don't act like you know everything. Rethink everything. See you later, my friend. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah. So Jesus was ripped. Imagine all you were doing for 14 years was psychedelics and meditation. How far you would come, and the embodiment of the intelligence of infinite imagination and love. And even just the smallest amount that we incorporate into our lives is functional, because it's the truth. Any more functional we become, obviously, is what we get out of it. So it's the way that we do these things. It's the casting away of the stigma, the stereotypes, and remaining humble, not creating an identity out of these things, not trying to prove what you believe through argumentation, right? It's not about being right or wrong. It's about being a little bit more truthful, or discovering a more powerful truth. So people who come together who disagree can actually help each other, if they aim to do so, come to a greater truth. One can be more right in certain areas than the other, i.e. they're more onto the truth, they've substantiated it, they can invoke it, they can articulate it, the energy of the situation is maintained. So this is what you can do to optimize. So I'm all about minimum viable effects. So sure, there's science about all of these things, what are the best foods, what are the best this and that. A lot of that is bought, right? It's a bought influence over the results of these things. So really your subjective experience is all that matters. Anyway, minimum viable effects. How can we implement these things right away? How can we prove the validity? So the cold shower is the perfect example. It's treated as a science experiment for your life, right? You're exposing your body to cold water, and it's exhibiting an effect inside of you that alters your consciousness. So your motivation, your subjective quantity of serotonin and dopamine. So it's an engagement with, I think there's science about this, I think it'll work, and then feeling the effect and continuing to do it. So calisthenics are great if you want to grow muscles. You only really need a 15-minute engagement with any one of these things to find results within it. And that's what continues the momentum. So it's almost like motivation isn't even real. Motivation is more an end product than something that you just always have and can turn on. There's discipline, which leads to doing actions, and those actions add up inside of you as a permanent increase to your baseline. So just through mindset, just through will, you can incur that. And then as you gain momentum, you are just innately motivated to do it more. So momentum comes before motivation. And all these things create the cycle of your chemistry, and really that's just going to influence you and urge you to continue doing what you're already doing. That's a habit. A habit really is doing something more often than you don't do it, so that it becomes automatic. So optimize for that. So more on the muscle game, the smoother you can have the conduction of your body, the better. More efficient energy usage, you're increasing the vibration of your nervous system, picking up more, utilizing more, you're advancing more quickly. The more you simply acknowledge this and influence this. Whatever I put inside of my body is then dissolved and then becomes the various chemicals and structures that I am. I am what I eat. And if you just envision this, it starts to do the work on your ego, on your psychology, on your behavior. You start to make it a more visceral reality. The more visceral the reality, the more you are influenced. So you can influence yourself by doing nothing. What's up, my friend? Wet Dream Journal. Is discipline not inefficient energy? No, I guess it doesn't really matter. Discipline is like, I know I should do this, but I'm feeling a negative emotion. I'm feeling resistance, but due to my goals, I recognize this resistance as the challenge that I need to overcome in order to complete the process and achieve that goal. So it doesn't matter if it's efficient or not. It just takes what it takes. We're not perfect. We can only do so much every single day. You have about 4 hours of concentrated neurological creation every single day. 4 hours that you can create a new structure in your brain. And then you run out of that resource. Then you have to go to sleep to recharge that. You have to wait before you can do more. So you can never do enough. The more you cope with never being able to do enough, the more relaxed you'll be, the less anxious you'll be. So, meditation is sitting with a concept and substantiating it through neurocircuitry, right? The more I sit with a concept, the more it becomes me, the more I get out of it, the more I can connect it to every other part of myself. So that's what meditation can be for you, especially if you're neurodivergent, right? If you're neurodivergent, you can literally convince yourself of any reality. You can, come up with an infinite amount of reasons as to why something is, and it can be negatively reinforced and in your identity. And then this label of whatever your specific illness is, becomes the circuitry that connects to your personality. So you always go to that label. Oh, this is because of this. So the symptomology is real, but it's only 75% of the reality, and it's considered to be 100% as something that can't even be changed. It's just a static trait attached to your essence. A permanent illness. But yeah. We should be prescribed practices, not medicines, in a lot of cases. Definitely, yeah, I agree, my friend. It is kind of thrown around. It's a good way to conceive of it, I feel like. So yeah, I would say there's several types of spirituality, several echelons of goals that you might have. So, what is your main goal in spirituality? What do you want to get out of it? You know, what do you want to get out of your spirituality? Is there anything to get out of it? For me, it's increasing the intensity of emotion, having more fun, you know, imagining the science of joy, right? So true happiness is really your potentiation for joy than it is a permanent state that you can achieve externally or internally. Externally through like a material gain or a relation. So your potentiation for joy is increased in your literal skillful ability to invoke it. It's the way that you look at the world that decides what you get out of it. So it is in this that we become happy. Right? I can come up with an idea and then go execute it, and then joy happens. So I can close that loop. And it can be an existential joy, like this final triumphant accomplishment of my humanity. Overcoming a long-standing hurdle. Oh yeah, the cold shower, a very low intake diet, as many supplements that you can have. I guess mushroom and herbal. Mild calisthenics, right? Get your body into shape. And if you're trying to lose weight, the best is cold therapy and fasting. So the cold showers, which activate white fat or activate brown fat to burn white fat. And then fasting basically drains all of that fat. And just raise the skill of improving your body every single day. And so lion's mane, yes, absolutely. I trust the science. I trust the people that do it. Someone's childhood memories came back as they were taking lion's mane. So definitely something I'm interested in. I haven't done it enough, but I love it. I love the concept. It's really cool. I love that it looks like what it's for. That's pretty interesting in nature. Yeah, the point with that and the concentration is you only have so many resources to become a new person every single day. So you can only do so much. You can only improve by so much. And burnout comes from overextending yourself, and then identifying with the mood state, and having a miswired psychology, sort of a misunderstanding. Yeah. Whatever we imagine we become, and we can reverse engineer our greatest dreams into daily actionable steps that slowly allow us to enter that reality. So we are an imagination machine, a creation machine, and a beautiful artifice of God. God is, good, love, joy, awareness, intelligence, even evil and darkness, and blah, blah, blah. 50% light, 50% darkness, and we find ourselves here in a infinitely vibrating middle way. Our mortality, just the notion of it. We will die, yet we host an incredible and beautiful amount of life. We're more used to death than we are this earthly existence. More used to being nothing, everything. Yeah, I'd say if you're optimizing, it would be that genius mushroom blend, and I've heard good things about niacin. Jesus was ripped, smoked weed, meditated on love, and it's all a science you can observe. We've been severed from this science. We literally stole this land from people who it was their way of life, mingling with nature, truly understanding it, living the right way. Now we've colonized our world, completely destroyed its resources and the natural flow of everything, and almost all species of fish. It's travesty. We live in a travesty of nature and humanity. It doesn't mean the humans are bad. It means that we haven't completely ascended and invoked our highest potential as a species, right? We're all healing. What we see in the world, like the greatest weapons of our world, are the greatest sins and just faults of our internal world. So if greed isn't completely handled at the worldwide level, then we will see its ruin. And that's what we see. So we have to, adopt better ideas. The power is, yes, in the people, in the technology, in our unity. So we're still run by a cult. It's a cult that runs the world. Instead of the most efficient and best ideas for our era, we will be taken advantage of if we can be taken advantage of. So we really have to come up with some sort of agenda, some sort of written document as to what the human population can actually do to destroy these corrupt systems. Not in an anarchical way, but a peaceful transition to these higher ideas. We educate the people. You start learning your skill and trade if you'd like. 8 to 12 years old, and for the rest of your life. But math and reading and writing and advanced vocabulary, it can only be received through osmosis. Just through a role-playing video game that naturally teaches you math as you accomplish things and whatever. Gamify the experience of education and get these kids outside. pretty much cut it in half and do everything through osmosis. So there are actionable steps. How do we remove capitalism? Well, we remove things that can be capitalized upon. So that's you, the consumer, the unconscious, the people who can't grow their own food, build their own house, create their own community. We empower those people. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's about it from me. Check out my new book, Spiritual Cannabis. It's a great way to support the show. Nice juicy e-guide, how to incorporate cannabis into your spiritual lifestyle. And it's been fun hanging out. See you guys later.